This is LCE Graphics, and this is a presentation or our training video on the Bourg AE collating system booklet maker with stitch, fold, and trim. Now, this training video we're going to start out with is in several segments. The first segment is going to be acquainting you with all the different features and functions of the system, all the way from the collator to the stitch, fold, and trim. Now, we're going to start with the collator. And here at the rear, the first thing that you want to take a look at is your lever, and this is your lift lever. And what this does, it lifts and lowers the feed rollers. As you can see, the feed roller levers, these little black handles here, are going up and down. And what that does, it lifts the feed rollers up so that you can facilitate moving the paper trays in and out. See, when you move the paper trays out, if you don't have the feed wheels up, the feed wheels can hit against these side guides and damage them. So always be sure to have your feed wheels up whenever you're having to pull the bins in and out for loading or to check the paper. Now, on the top of our conveyor, these are our conveyor rollers. And what they are, they're solid aluminum rollers that are riding on top of segmented rubber rollers underneath. The way this system works, when the sheet's fed out, it comes out in between these two rollers and continues down the conveyor. So the Bourg is very unique in that all of the set is always riding on top of the conveyor. As it comes out to the end of the collator, you're getting the entire set delivered on this conveyor. And that's how the system works. One set of rollers transfers to the next, all the way to the end. Now, when you lift these rollers up, you're going to see something in here, and that's important. Right here is your mist detect. This is a little arm that the sheet comes out in between the mist detect arm and the micro switch. This micro switch is your mist detect sensor. When the sheet comes out, if it doesn't break this circuit, the machine will assume that no sheet was fed, will mark it as a miss, and stop the collator. So that's your mist detect. Your doubles detect, if they have doubles detect, you'll notice that here on your control panel you have bin switch, which turns a bin on and off, mist detect switch, which turns the mist detects on and off, and also your doubles detect will always have this calibrating potentiometer and your red and green LEDs here. The red LED illuminates when there's a double, the green illuminates to show you that it's read the sheet. So if you don't have these three, then you don't have doubles detect on the AE, and some collators were made without doubles detect. It was an option on the Bourg AE system. And so this is a conveyor system all the way down here. Now, the first thing, we want to go over some of the controls. This is your resettable counter, which you can push that and reset to keep track of how many sets you're producing. The first knob you come to is your speed control. It goes from 1 to 10, 10 being the maximum. Then you have your program switch. You have programs 1 through 7. Now, programs 1 through 4 are simply divider programs. Like in program 1, the collator will feed all 30 bins. In program 2, it splits it in half and turns it into a 2 system. Like, for example, with this AE22 has 22 bins, so in program 2 you would have 11 and 11. So forth with program 3, splits the collator into 3, program 4 into 4. Then program 5, 6, and 7 on your dial are actually shortening cycles. So when you put it on 5, it eliminates some of the bins and reduces the 22 bin down to like a 16 bin or 15 bin. And then when you put it on program 6, it reduces it a little bit more to like a 10 or 12 bin. And then when you put it on program 7, it reduces it even further to an 8 bin. What that feature does is, if you have a job where you're running, say, 5 or 6 signatures, and you want to increase the productivity and run it at top possible speed, you would put it in program 7, which eliminates all the other bins. So normally, instead of firing all 22 bins, it would only fire the 5 bins and increase your speed exponentially. Now, the next thing we want to go into is again our control switches. Now, you have the first switch, which is orange. Now, whether the light illuminates or not, the switch will turn the bin on. The same thing with the green switch. The green switch illuminates or not, it still turns on your mist detect. And this LED is the indicator that tells you your bin has misfed. So if you have a misfeed, this will light up to let you know that this bin misfed a sheet. This is your control potentiometer to calibrate for different thicknesses of paper, different densities of paper for your doubles detect. This is your green light that indicates you're reading the sheet. The red light indicates you fed a double. Now on the end here you have control buttons. The next thing is the spacing. The spacing allows for different distances between the lead edge of the sheet each time the sheets are fed. For example, if you have it on minimum spacing, your sheets will be closer together. On these collators, your sheets come out shingled or spaced out, as it were stream fed in reverse, stream delivered. So by adjusting this knob, you can adjust how much spacing you get. The maximum spacing will actually allow you to run the set out really about 100 millimeters, something like that, to allow you to space the set out. Now the advantage of that feature is mostly like when you're running coated paper or sometimes difficult papers. By spacing the sheets out, it allows it to deliver into the stitcher a little bit better. So this is kind of a good feature if you're feeding difficult papers or coated papers or heavy stocks. Spacing it out can improve the delivery by making the set a little bit thinner. Now on the end here you have the exit roller. Now this is your eject roller. You have a roller at the bottom on the back jogger. This is your back jogger that you see me pushing back and forth here. And this is your top eject roller. Now this roller is driven by a belt which drives the bottom roller, and that's how your set comes out of the collator. After it's exited the last bin, this is your last set of rollers that delivers the set into the stitcher. This is your AGR stitcher unit. Now on the side you have the run button, which just runs the machine, the stop button, which stops the machine. Then you have the stitch block button, which if you hold this button in, it won't staple. Then you have your manual stitch button. This is your emergency stop. Whenever you push this button in, it locks the stitcher in. Like if you're having to work on it, make adjustments, move the stitcher heads or anything like that, it's advisable that you push in the emergency stop. Now right below here you have a toggle switch. Now the AGR has two different sets of stop fingers. You have a set of stop fingers, which are right here, which go up and down. You can see those going up and down. Those are your stop fingers when you're saddle stitching or producing booklets. When you're in stitching, you have another set of stop fingers, which you see them popping up here. You see them, the white little fingers that are popping up? Okay, those are your in stitching stop fingers. What this switch does is select between the two. If you have it switched over to the right, it's going to activate the booklet making stop fingers on your saddle stitching mode. Flipped over to the left will activate your solenoid for the in stitching stop fingers. Then further here, this is your manual side jog and the knob for adjusting your side jog. If you turn the knob, it moves this side jogger in and out to adjust for different thicknesses of paper, different widths of paper. This center adjustment is your clincher adjustment. What this does is when you turn it, it moves the clinchers, which are found underneath the stitcher head. That's these under here. You can see they're mounted on like a brass block, and when you turn the dial, it moves the clinchers in and out to allow you to compensate for different widths of booklets, 8.5 by 11 stitched folded in half, or 11 by 17. Now this is your clincher clear handle. What that does is in the event you run a staple into the clinchers, like if it accidentally staples or you accidentally staple without any paper in it, it will drive a staple down into the clinchers underneath. So by pulling this up, it actually clears that. This small knob is used to turn on your stop fingers. By turning it to the right, you see the fingers pop up. Turning it to the left locks them down. They're not in use. Alright, now this completes our stitcher, and we'll move on to the next unit.